A man walks into a store wearing a $5,000 suit and, on his wrist, a cheap, oversized watch with a rubber strap. In a second, the suit is completely ruined. Everyone notices, even if they can't quite put their finger on why. This is the truth about dressing well that almost no one understands. The watch on your wrist says more than the label on your jacket. And the worst part? Getting it wrong is expensive, especially when it comes to making a first impression. Because a real dress watch thin enough to slip under your shirt cuff, understated enough to be subtle rather than flashy, doesn't cost $5,000. Not even $2,000. The 5 watches I'm about to show you cost less than $500. And any one of them will make you look like you're spending way more than they're actually worth. So why do men keep overpaying for watches that make them look worse? That's what this video is about. Stay tuned. Because the #1 watch is so elegant that people will think it costs 10 times its actual price. Before we start the countdown, you need to understand what a dress watch actually is. Because most men get this completely wrong, and it is the reason they overspend on the wrong thing. A dress watch has one job: to disappear under a cuff, and to whisper elegance when it shows. That is the entire philosophy. It is the opposite of a dive watch or a G-Shock, which are built to shout, to survive, to be seen. A dress watch is built to be quiet. And quiet has rules. 4 of them. First, it has to be thin. A true dress watch slides under a shirt cuff without catching, without bulging. The thinner the case, the more elegant the watch, and the more expensive it usually is to engineer. Second, the dial has to be clean. No clutter. No busy subdials or aggressive markings. Just simple, legible beauty. Third, the size has to be modest. Something between 36 and 40 millimeters, so it sits with proportion, not like a dinner plate strapped to your arm. And fourth, it needs a refined strap or bracelet, usually leather, usually understated. Get those 4 things right, and a watch looks expensive no matter what it cost. Get them wrong, and even a real luxury piece looks clumsy. Here is the good news. Every single watch on this list nails all 4, and they do it for under $500. Let us count them down. Number 5. Let us start with the watch that puts real Swiss watchmaking on your wrist, for the price of a nice dinner for 2. At number 5 is the Tissot Every Time. Tissot is one of the oldest names in Switzerland, founded in 1853, and it sits inside the same group that owns Omega and even Breitling. But where those brands cost thousands, Tissot exists to be the honest doorway into Swiss quality. And the Every Time is its purest expression of that idea. Look at it, and you understand instantly. It is minimalism done right. A clean, open dial. Slim, elegant hands. A case that stays modest and refined. It follows the German-inspired principle that less is genuinely more nothing on that dial that does not need to be there. For around $350, you can get it in a Swissmatic automatic version, a self-winding Swiss movement, visible through an exhibition case back, with a power reserve that stretches for days. A real mechanical Swiss watch, under a shirt cuff, for a price most people would not believe. And if you want to spend even less, there is a quartz version that drops the price further while keeping the exact same clean, elegant looks. Think about what that means. The word Swiss on a watch dial has carried weight for over a century. It is the single most trusted signature in the entire industry. And here it is, on a genuinely elegant dress watch, for less than many people spend on a pair of shoes. That is the whole point of Tissot. It is not trying to be a luxury brand. It is trying to be the honest first step into real watchmaking, and it does that job better than almost anyone. Who is this for? The man who wants the word Swiss on his dial and clean modern elegance on his wrist, without stepping over $500. It is the safest possible introduction to the world of proper dress watches. The Tissot Every Time is linked below. But maybe you want something with a little more warmth, a little more soul. For that, we go to Japan. Now let us talk about the watch that has earned a reputation as the best first dress watch in the entire world. At number 4 is the Orient Bambino. If you spend any time around watch enthusiasts, you will hear this name over and over. When a new person walks in with a small budget and asks for their first real dress watch, the answer, again and again, is the Bambino. There is a reason for that. The name itself hints at its character Bambino, the small one, the humble one. It carries a beautifully classic, almost vintage design, a gently domed crystal that catches the light like an old watch from decades past. Elegant applied markers, slim hands, a clean, warm dial that looks calm and timeless on the wrist. And underneath it beats something special for the price. Orient, which is owned by Seiko, builds its own in-house automatic movement. So this is not a quartz watch pretending to be fancy. It is a genuine mechanical watch, self-winding, powered by your motion, and Orient makes the engine themselves. At a price that usually lands between $250 and $300, that is almost unheard of. Quick pause here, because if you are the kind of man who wants to understand why a watch works before you spend a cent on it, this channel was built for you. Subscribing costs nothing and keeps these guides coming. And I want to know, are you buying your first dress watch or adding to a collection? Tell me down in the comments. I read everyone. Now, back to the Bambino. Who is it for? The man buying his very first proper dress watch. The one who wants genuine mechanical charm and timeless looks, without spending much to find out if he loves it. It is calm, classic, and endlessly easy to wear. The Orient Bambino is linked below, and it might be the best value entry into this entire hobby. But we are climbing now, because the next watch adds something the first two do not have. Let us talk about the watch that carries real history, genuine heritage for a price that should not be possible. At number 3 is the Hamilton, and specifically its slim dress line. Hamilton is a fascinating story. It was born in America, in Pennsylvania, in the 1890s. It timed the American railroads. It went to war on the wrists of soldiers. It appeared in more Hollywood films than almost any other watch brand alive. And today, it is Swiss-made, sitting inside that same giant Swatch Group American soul, Swiss heart. For a dress watch, Hamilton offers something clean and quietly confident. A slim profile designed to slide under formal wear. A dial with genuine mid-century character. And the head and movement inside many of its pieces gives you something remarkable at this price. A power reserve of around 80 hours. That means you can take it off on Friday evening, leave it in a drawer all weekend, and pick it up Monday morning, still ticking, still perfectly on time. That combination, real heritage, Swiss manufacture, a modern 80-hour movement, and a design with actual history behind it is rare anywhere near this price. When you wear a Hamilton, you are not just wearing an elegant watch. You are wearing a name that helped build America's railroads and lit up the silver screen. And that history is not a marketing invention. Hamilton watches genuinely regulated the American rail network at a time when a watch running a few minutes slow could cause a disaster. They were issued to servicemen in both world wars. And they have appeared on screen for decades, from old classics all the way to modern blockbusters. Most watches at this price have no story at all. Hamilton hands you a real one, and asks under $500 for it. Who is this for? The man who wants his dress watch to mean something. The one who wants heritage, a real story, and Swiss engineering in a slim, elegant package that still fits under a $500 budget. The Hamilton is linked below. But we are not done, because the top 2 watches do something the others simply cannot. Now it gets serious. Because the watch at number 2 does not just tell time. It puts a piece of art on your wrist. At number 2 is the Seiko Presage line. Here is where Japanese craftsmanship starts to genuinely humble watches costing far more. Seiko has a tradition of finishing its dials with a level of care that feels almost impossible under $500. And the Presage collection is where that tradition lives. Some of these dials are made using techniques with centuries of history behind them. There is a version with an enamel dial, fired and finished by hand, with a purity of white that expensive Swiss brands charge thousands for. There is a version with a lacquer dial, using the same urushi tradition once used on samurai armor. And there is the famous cocktail time, a dial with a fine sunburst texture inspired by the shimmer of a cocktail under bar lights. It genuinely seems to shift and glow as your wrist moves. Underneath, you get a reliable Seiko automatic movement, often visible through an exhibition case back, and frequently a scratch-resistant sapphire crystal on top. So this is not just a pretty face. It is a proper mechanical watch, dressed in a dial you will catch yourself staring at. Who is this for? The man who has moved past just wanting a watch, and now wants a beautiful object. The one who wants craftsmanship, something with real artistry, that rewards a closer look, and quietly outclasses watches at twice the price. The Seiko Presage is linked below, and it is, for the money, one of the most beautiful things you can put on your wrist. And yet, it is still not number 1, because there is one watch that takes everything, the elegance, the craft, the value, and lands it so perfectly that people simply refuse to believe the price. So here it is, the watch I told you would look 10 times its price. The one that, more than any other under $500, makes strangers assume you spent a small fortune. At number 1 is the Seiko Presage Cocktail Time. Yes, it comes from the same family we just praised, and that is exactly the point. Because the cocktail time is where every single thing this video has talked about comes together at once, in one watch, for right around $500 or less. Let me walk you through what lands on your wrist. That famous sunburst dial, rippling with light, shifting from silver to deep blue to soft champagne as you move a dial that looks alive. A beautifully slim, elegant case that slides effortlessly under a cuff. Faceted, mirror-polished hands and markers that throw tiny flashes of light. A scratch-resistant sapphire crystal. A dependable Seiko automatic movement, self-winding, visible through the back. And proportions right around 40 millimeters that sit perfectly between classic and modern. Stop and think about that combination. A hand-finished, genuinely mesmerizing dial. A slim dress case, sapphire. A real automatic movement, elegant proportions. For the price of a single dinner at a nice restaurant with a good bottle of wine. This is why collectors talk about the cocktail time the way they do. It is not just a good dress watch for the money. It is the watch people hold up to prove you do not need to spend thousands to look like you did. When someone glances at it across a table, they do not see a $500 watch. They see elegance. They assume money. And you simply let them. Who is this for? Almost everyone watching this. If you want one dress watch that makes you look like you spend far more than you do, that works under a suit and turns heads at dinner, the search ends here. It comes in several dial colors, the classic silver, a stunning blue, and more. The Seiko Presage cocktail time is linked below, and if you buy only one watch from this entire video, this is the one. So those are the 5. But now comes the real question. So let us go back to where we started. Why does that man in the $5,000 suit look worse than the man in a $300 Bambino? Let me be honest with you, the way I always try to be. Elegance is not bought with a big number. Elegance is proportion, restraint, and detail. It is a thin case, a clean dial, and a watch that knows how to be quiet. And every one of those things is available to you for under $500. Now, is a $5,000 dress watch a scam? No. A Patek Philippe or a Jaeger-LeCoultre is a genuinely beautiful object, with finishing and history that reward a lifetime of ownership. If you have that money and that passion, they are worth it. I am not here to tell you otherwise. But here is the truth this video was built to prove. You do not need it to look elegant. Everything that actually makes a dress watch elegant. The thinness, the clean dial, the right size, the refined strap, all of it lives right here, under $500. The expensive stuff is the finishing on top. The elegance underneath is the same elegance. So if you want Swiss and clean, the Tissot every time. If you want the perfect first dress watch, the Orient Bambino. If you want real heritage, the Hamilton. If you want a work of art, the Seiko Presage. And if you want to look like you spent 10 times what you did the cocktail time. Every one of them is linked below, ranked exactly the way you just heard. 5 watches, all under $500. Every one of them capable of doing what a $5,000 suit alone cannot, making you look like a man who understands the details. You now know what actually makes a watch elegant. You know the 4 rules. You know that thinness, a clean dial, the right proportions, and quiet restraint matter far more than the number on the price tag. You will never look at a dress watch the same way again, and you will never again believe you have to spend a fortune to look like you did. Because true elegance was never about how much you spent. It was about how well you chose. Next week, we take one of these watches, and we tear it completely apart to show you what really lives inside. Crown pick. Set the standard.